All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Hibike Euphonium, Season 1, Episode 7. And we had a wonderful episode last week with learning the intricacies of Tubakun and how fulfilling it can be to play with other people and your friends, even if it's something as simple as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
And we've
Good
got
stuff.
tryouts on the way.
Yes, and third years aren't necessarily going to get the parts if they don't, if they're not as good as the first years and such.
And Kumiko has experience in the past with potentially this kind of dynamic where things can get a little bit into some social pressure, peer pressure, bullying, shenanigans.
We've already seen Kosaka just like destroying, the people around her with just being like, look at how awesome I am, even though apparently she does have a rival.
Yeah, someone out there that is quite good.
Right, I believe it was Kaori was the name. Yes. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, so y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
I love this OP. I
also love the choice to basically have little bits of character animation showing what they're doing, rather than doing the typical, they're running,
Sure, or like still frame, of them in a pose.
Right.
Also, I'm pretty sure I've said this before.
Here, drop.
Yeah. But the instruments in this show just look so good.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that I'm almost positive that they are still 2D hand drawn and all that, but they put all the different color bits of the reflections in there. It's just so good.
試験も終わり、コンクールに向けての練習がいよいよ本格的になってきた。後日行われるオーディションに備え、各自コンクールで演奏する曲をひたすら練習する。
Wow.
Cool.
Such a change from where they were at the beginning.
Yeah, they've really come together.
Crybaby saxophone. Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
How can you see that?
では頭からもう一度。
Oh.
どうしたの？高坂さんですよ。これソロパートのところじゃないですか。香織先輩がいるのに。1年がソロの練習しちゃいけない。
Yeah.
はい、練習終わりよ。片付けて。わかりました。ほら、素直じゃない。ねえ。
Pluviophile.
この椅子どこかに戻しといてくれる？持って帰るんですか？
Hey,
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was Kumiko that did
great.
that. Yes.
いいでしょ。ごめん遊ばせ。
Wow.
おい、何すんの？
あと少し。コンクールまでは頑張らないって言って。
She's quitting.
になってはいるんだけど。
葵ちゃんが？
Yeah. Makes sense.
さっきさ、聞いたんだろ。葵先輩の話。え？黙ってたわけじゃないぞ。
Gotcha. So everyone kind of knows. Yeah.
部活終わりなのに。
Okay. So it's kind of pointless to do it earlier.
Unless she doesn't want to be holding people back.
去年のことがあるんじゃないかって。
今の
Sure.
たくさん辞めたって話？
でも間に挟まれた
Gotcha.
いろいろあったんじゃないのか。
少し冷たい空気を感じながら。
It's good where they're bringing this back up
葵
because
ちゃんが辞めるはずないとどこかで。
one of the things that I had been a little bit fuzzy on was which of the senpai were involved in the whole thing. But saying it was the current second years quitting, meaning it was last year's first years primarily. I mean, there's very few second years this year.
Right.
Yeah. Feels a little bit off. Yeah.
中に音をつなげられませんか。テナーサックス出だしがブレてます。
Oh.
斉藤さん。
はい。
Oh boy. Yeah, even the people around her are noticing.
斉藤葵さん。
はい。
今のところいつまでにできるようになりますか。わかりますか。
はい。
ここは美しいハーモニーの旋律を支えなければいけません。が同時にあなたはコンクールを控えた吹奏楽部員でもあるのです。
Yeah, two things at
も
once.
う一度聞きます。いつまでにできるようになりますか。
私、部活辞めます。
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
志望校には行けないと思うからです。前から悩んでいたんですが、 これからもっと練習が長くなることを考える。
I hope he's respectful of her decision.
Oh, of course he's going.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
mhm.
yeah.
やめないでください。葵、待ちなよ。
Because that was a very responsible decision of her to make.
Yep.
The fact that it ended up needing to be when he called her out specifically is unfortunate, but
Yeah. Oh.
今の部は去年までとは違うでしょう。サンフェスの時に思った。ブル金賞取るつもりで頑張ってるって。
I don't want to hold you guys back.
私、そこまでできない。去年あの子たち辞めるの止められなかったのに。
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
受験勉強しなきゃいけないの本当なんだし。
Anyway.
これです。
Oh boy.
Because she totally could do both. It's just, this is a good reason.
じゃあね。
She wanted to have an alibi, and wow, this is going to probably guarantee her college, her first choice
私が
college.
部長なんて無理だったんだ。
Oh.
すごいところいっぱいあるじゃないですか。
じゃあそれを言ってみてよ。
The way she was looking down into the left, Kumiko doesn't even fully believe it as much.
優しいなんて他に褒めるところがない人に言うセリフでしょ。私は分かってるんだから。
Yeah.
謝らなくていいよ。
Yeah.
何後輩にぐちぐち絡んでるのよ。ほら、涙拭いて。
自分でできる。
ダメだよ。
Voice acting's real
その
good.
不安定なところ直さないと。
アスカが断ったから私がやらなきゃいけないことになったんだよ。
だったらはるかも断ればよかったんだよ。違う？
Well, okay.
But she cares too much about this whole thing, so she wants. She doesn't want a repeat of last year.
Right.
All right, so she had to do it formally, but she did it. So.
Yep.
All right.
はい。UFO、今吹いてた？
Oh. Ah.
すみません。
Dang.
なんで？
Wow. Just, I love the way Asuka's like, boom.
Yep.
You.
It feels a little bit out of tune or out of timing.
It feels okay.
何かもたついてませんか？
She's a bit distracted.
Yep.
Okay.
あんなに怒られてる久美子初めて見た。
Oh. Yeah, yeah, it's okay.
奏でられる時、受験だったんだし、仕方ないよ。
I like how these two are coming in and being like supportive here. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
幼馴染だもんね。いろいろあったからね。先輩はどうして5に残ったんですか？
Yeah, you're one of the
な
few.
かったからかな。審査員だし。
Oh,
そんなは
okay.
っきりしない評価に振り回されるのって本来の音楽の楽しさとは違うんじゃない？
True.
それって結局きつい練習したくないための言い訳だったんだよね。
Okay.
まるでその子たちがいないかのように振る舞っていなくな
Wow.
る。それでも香織先輩や葵先輩は頑張ってた。無視には加担しない。
Oh, really?
互いの話を聞いて間を取り持とうとして。
Wow.
葵先輩も香織先輩
And you didn't want to feel like you were letting them down, so you stayed,
あの子た
basically.
ちが辞めるの止められていたら今頃って
Oh, yeah.
今と全く変わらず。
Damn.
I wouldn't have described Asuka as neutral.
そのくらい去年と今年の空気は違うってこと。あれだけやる気がな
Maybe
かった。
surviving that gave her a lot of confidence, you know?
Yeah.
But she is neutral in that she doesn't
Let other people affect her.
force things a certain way, really.
お芋。よいしょっと。
Oh.
だったらご飯じゃないの？音楽好きなので。私、あなたのこと認めないから。
Oh.
Yeah, this is the past thing that we had teased before.
私それ見て思った。アスカは部長を断ったんじゃなくて引き受けられなかったんだな。そういうの全部計算しちゃって引き受けられなかったんじゃないかな。
それって私がバカってこと？
おう、そうか。
Yeah, maybe.
それだけ勇気があったって。
One part brave, three part fool.
I was just about to say that. Yep.
あの時、はるかが部長を引き受けてくれたから今の部があるんだ。私ははるかのおかげだと思ってる。
Yeah, Taki's responsible for them going to, focus on nationals and stuff. But having the club be here at all, you know.
つられてポテト。
Ah, ha, ha.
サイズ同じ値段って罠だよね。
Wow. I love it.
話したいことあったらいつでも話して。
Oh.
聞くからさ。
That's great. Just, oh.
また明日
Yep.
悪い
Doki doki.
Well, oh my god, this anime just has so much, like,
Uh-huh.
just extra quality just put into it. Wow.
いい先輩じゃない？
まあそうなんだけど完璧すぎるっていうか
Hmm.
どこまで演技でどこから本気なのか全然わからないって
It's almost like she was created to be a waifu or something.
見てるところが全然違うっていうか。
Hmm.
Wow.
いつ
I love it. I love it.
Oh, that was so
Wow.
good.
I didn't even
I
realize.
didn't realize it either. What? That was so good.
Wow. Wow.
私は楽器と戯れるためにここにいるんだから分かってるよじゃあ次
葵
Ah.
ちゃんのいない吹奏楽部は新たなスタートを切った。ねえ、久美子。
Hmm.
久美子ってさ、ドローン
Ah.
やってんの？
She said that pretty loudly
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Just drops tears.
Just like, ah.
I don't know about you, Hazuki, but when you like someone and they show up, do you go, "Tch."
It's great.
We are all fools in love.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, let's up the drama because we've got senpais leaving early. Let's throw into the mix also all kinds of complicated romance subplots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got complicated potential romance subplots, but then, like, do you really think that there's a possibility that she'll quit? Not Aoi, but the president. She'll step down.
No.
No.
No, I think this was basically addressing that and also dismissing
Just
it.
resolving it.
Resolving it in the one episode.
Okay. Cool.
Also, just, I mean, potentially, because, okay, there is another angle I'm thinking about this, but the voice actress for the president is Sayori Hayami. So
Yes.
Shoko from A Silent Voice, right?
Yeah.
And after this episode, I can totally see why they cast her, right? Because she did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But no, she's not leaving.
No,
she's not leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, really? No. Don't leave. Don't leave. Okay.
Okay. All
Other
right, this is
characters
wonderful.
getting some really good focus here.
Yep.
We get to see the actual final moments of Aoi in the Wind Ensemble Club.
Exactly. Yep. I love how you said that like she just died.
She did.
Yeah, there was a death that happened there, you know? And
It was the death of her belief that she could do both.
Right.
And thus, it was also the signing off on things eventually going into the situation that they could have... Well, the potential of them going into the situation that they were in last year. Where
Right.
we have a divided interest as to who is actually serious about doing this.
Yep.
Because one of the things that still could happen, while everyone seems to be serious here, it could still go that way after this upcoming competition if they're not actually all putting in their effort. But they do seem to be.
they do seem to be.
So this was something where it was, I would say, more
It was kind of
the exams.
a pruning, right? And I
Right.
the fact that Aoi left.
Yep.
Originally, I wasn't thinking that I would care as much about it because it's more of the, okay, this is what needs to happen. There needs to be that acceptance that I guess, this is what people want to do. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go along with that. As such, I should let them do their thing and I'll do my thing. And that's okay. It's I would have liked to have stayed in the Wind Ensemble, but this is for the best kind of a thing, right?
Yep.
And it was that, but at the same time, we got all this extra backstory for Aoi for why she stuck with it, why she was still here, right? The fact that when a lot of other people quit, and I love that they did mention again that when it was all the people that were being indifferent and not working hard and everything, that it was the serious people that quit.
Well, yeah,
right?
yeah, we knew that from before.
Yeah, we knew that from before. But again, like every time it's brought up, I feel like it's touching on something really important that effort that is not rewarded, basically,
Yep.
doesn't last long.
Hope deferred.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Exactly, right.
Yep.
So, in this situation where Aoi's seeing all of these people around her that originally weren't trying hard, right? You know, but now they are. Now they're doing the thing that she wished, you know, all the people in the previous year would have done, right? Except now she's the one that's kind of holding people back. Oh.
Yeah.
So then it's because then there's this sense that like, oh, am I doing something wrong? And no, like the fact that you're leaving, it's of course going to make people sad, especially when they're really good friends with you and they want to keep spending time with you. They want to do this with you.
Yep.
But this is a part of growing up. You know, you figure out what you can do, what you can't do, and that means that you'll go separate ways from a lot of other people that you know.
That's just the way it is.
Yep. And I love that Taki was like, we didn't see too much of a response from him, but he was very understanding of it, I felt like, with what little we did get, even though we didn't say too much in response.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Taki being basically the one here who is not at all responsible for the club existing and the distinction made there earlier. And that,
Yes.
No, actually, in a lot of ways, the club would have fallen apart if we didn't have a good leader at the time.
Right.
They didn't have to be perfect. They didn't have to have standout crazy qualities. They just needed to be willing to do it.
Someone to take up the
reins.
The reins, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that I've always respected in a leader specifically was their willingness to do something even if they didn't know how to do it.
Sure.
This is something that I feel like a lot of people who are younger believe has to be the case with leaders in
before
general.
you get started.
Before you get started,
As
you need
opposed
to
to-
know how to do it, which is just something that is never the case.
Because otherwise no one would start. Like,
Yeah.
but if you learn while you're doing it, then all of a sudden it gets to the point eventually where it looks easy.
Well, the difference between regarding the progression of competence is not that. It's that when you do it and you don't know how and other people see you doing it, they feel comfortable being led by you because they see that you are not being held back by your own incompetence at certain ways.
Oh, okay.
So they're more able to trust you. This is something that I think is a rather good quality in a leader. A lot of people seek out leaders that are competent. The problem is that they have every person has their own different metric they're measuring the leader by as to where
Okay.
their competence lies.
Yeah.
But like most people, like in this case here in this wind ensemble club, they probably don't care who the leader is as long as they don't go into negative territory. If they're in what the leader would call, I'm neutral, I don't really have any
That can be just
strong things there. No, that's fine. Because being a leader is a service in a lot of ways. You're basically
Sure.
taking upon yourself more responsibility because no one else is going to do it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I really respect leaders in these types of positions because there's nothing that they really gain by doing it, except the fact that the thing that they're leading continues to run in some measure.
Yep.
And thus, Asuka, who is charismatic,
Yeah.
loud, commanding of respect,
Definitely competent.
perfect in some very specific ways,
Right.
might not actually make the best leader.
And
Because-
she knows that.
Would you actually trust them? And I love the way that Shuichi basically brought up specifically the trust angle of, I don't know how much of it is her or how much of it is fake.
Right. And if you can, and I feel like
Yeah.
in a lot of situations, what a lot of leaders will do is that they will try and make it to be something that they own so much that way they're sort of the invincible person that you can just be like, don't worry about any of that stuff. I've got it all covered, right? And then it can be this sort of
Can you
thing.
explain that? I don't follow.
It's the doctor that's the expert in their field that that leads the other doctors in doing a thing, right? It's I can trust in this person's competence, which allows the people under them to basically just do what they regularly do.
I got that, but how does that relate at all to our current president, the class president here?
No, I don't think it does. That's not her style.
So then, I'm sorry. It seemed like you were saying you were connecting that to her.
No.
Were you connecting that to Asuka?
That, yeah, basically that would be how she would have to do it if she were to lead. But she looked at that and she said, no, that is not something I want to do. I don't think that is something that I even can do. In fact, I'm able to do the best I can in this place of not being the leader because maybe that extra pressure isn't on me. So then I can fully go into everything and be that workhorse of a club, wind ensemble club member.
Okay.
Because there's nothing extra that I have to do.
Right. Now remember, none of this was actually said by Asuka. That was something that was inferred by the friend who was basing that off of some perceptions regarding Asuka.
Right.
But the big thing we know about Asuka was that she was neutral in the past year's drama, which is different than what they were saying was the case with most everyone who was trying to find middle ground. Which is, I would assume, in a lot of ways, kind of the equivalent of a diplomat's neutrality stance, where you basically try to find common ground between the two groups. But they were saying that Asuka wasn't even doing that.
Yeah.
She was doing true neutral, where she's not even reaching out to either side.
Yeah, I could see it being something potentially, and this is 100% an inference, right, on my part, right? But that maybe as a result of Asuka seeing her friend stepping up to the plate when they didn't know what they were doing, then it's the thing of because I'm their friend and I wasn't willing to do that, there is no way in hell I'm going to let them do that alone.
On the next year.
Right, on the next year. So I'm going to make sure that I bring my absolute A game so that they don't have to do anything, right? It's the second in command that basically says, yes, you do the decisions and the things like that, but I will totally make sure that all the details and the nitty-gritty day-to-day kind of stuff is taken care of, right? Just lead the ship, right? You can be the figurehead if you want, and I'll be the actual like taskmaster, whatever, you know.
Yeah, there is something to be said for those people who end up getting pushed into positions of leadership, where you can see when they're needing support, and there are a few people that kind of commit to I can't do the really hard job of leading for whatever reason.
Right.
But I commit to, at the very least, supporting your leadership role is something that is quite invaluable when it's done consistently.
Yes.
And I think if anything could be said about Asuka, is that she is consistent in her energy output, at least for this year.
And
I want to put out the idea that true neutral is in some ways kind of I am maybe a little bit unable to change anything. So like you were saying, like knowing what battle to fight versus charging in blindly, with courage or stupidity,
right?
Depending on how you look at it. But stupid courage is pretty inspiring.
Yep.
So maybe you and Asuka need to have a little bit of a talk, class prez, or club prez.
And I think it's also something where we don't appreciate what we have, right? It's very easy for us to take what we have for granted because we have it, right? We don't really know what it's like to not have it.
Yeah.
So in the Prez's case, she's used to being the president, right? It's still something where it's a big burden for her. She's not sure if she's fully capable to handle the role and everything. But I'll bet if she were to mention to Asuka the kind of stuff that she said to Kumiko of, you're just saying that to be nice, like saying you're nice is when you can't think of anything. Yeah. Yes, Kumiko doesn't know the Prez very well, right? So she has limited information, But I can imagine that in Asuka's case, she thinks quite highly of her friend just because she actually stepped up to the plate at a time when Asuka wouldn't.
Yep. And even when she's going to berate her in the hallway by being like, then why didn't you just refuse? You should have then.
Right.
Yeah. I liked the little bits of commentary we got from a lot of the side characters. This seemed to be one of the best episodes thus far in opening up to make the class feel large again. And that was basically in those break moments between practicing, little moments where they were tuning. And we got to see a lot of the characters who have, relationship and character dynamics that go beyond just our main set of
base
characters.
section, yeah.
In the base section, at least, yes.
Right.
Yes. Kosaka has some stuff that she's gonna have to overcome. That's gonna be a little bit tricky.
God,
Shuichi, though, like also coming in rather clutch and bringing up some pretty unique insights into the whole thing as well.
Yep, he really did.
By kind of listening into more rumors, really, if anything. It's not that he came up with these insights on his own, but it led to them getting the actual empirical backstory from, like, who should it be? But what was her name? The third year.
Oh yeah,
in
Nakagawa.
the base section. Nakagawa. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Her little moment of being like, so Natsuki senpai, why did you decide to stay?
Right.
And is interesting because she was essentially the other neutral character that we know of, but we got kind of what was going on in her head with regards to being neutral. And she basically saw it as that the people in her year did wrong by a lot of the other people in the club. And she just kind of stood by and watched it happen.
Yep, and that's probably one of the reasons why when things get brought up, like the fact that she isn't as good of a youth player as Kumiko, she, she kind of gets down about that, right? Because it's the reminder of, oh, yeah, I really just stood by and did nothing while all of what happened last year happened.
Yeah. What do you think, though, regarding this, that was the thing that Aoi, Haruka, and Kaori all had to deal with, but then Asuka is the only one not stuck on that because she didn't take either side last year. But it's interesting that that's what Natsuki-senpai did as well, essentially. But she is maybe a little bit hung up on past stuff.
Well, I think what Natsuki's saying is that she was a part of the reverse side, right? She was a part of the actively not try side.
Because she didn't do anything? Because she said she didn't like actively try to ignore them. Was that maybe what you were taking it as? Because
that's what I was taking it as.
Okay, so when people in my grade told us, never mind. No. When people in my grade, so she's actually not a third year. See?
Okay.
When people in my grade told us they wanted to take it seriously, aka the first years of last year. So she still is a senpai to the first years here. They just...
Gotcha. Okay, for some reason I thought she was a third year now.
Yeah, I thought she was too, but this is confirmation. When people in my grade told us they wanted to take it seriously, the first years.
Okay.
And different upperclassmen, the third years of the time, or even the second or third years.
Well,
it doesn't matter. Any of them. And they just tuned the serious members out like they weren't hearing a thing. Gotcha. So that was my incorrect assumption regarding Natsuki-senpai, is that she was a third year, but she's confirmed to be a second year at this point now.
I believe so.
I believe so based on the fact that they were mentioning that there's very few second years this year.
Right. But as far as the, who's in what year now, as far moving back to the things of what was gone over in the episode, we got lots of different dynamics between the characters showcased and where some of those past experiences come into play now. And I'm blanking, but
I wasn't fully finished on the thing I was bringing up, though.
All right.
I'm just wanting to basically say that I'm curious to see what's going to be the perspective we'll get from Asuka on this whole situation in the past, given that we haven't heard from her directly what it was like for her that year.
Okay.
And that Natsuki essentially was one of the ones that kind of observed how her upperclassmen responded in that way, those who basically took the apathetic side or the diplomatic side. I'm really curious to see what that potentially is a lead-in for Asuka in future
right, because there's very much still things that need to be delved into for a lot of the characters, not just like Kumiko because she's the main character, but the side characters as well.
Well, right, and specifically all the people that are still in the wind ensemble that were involved in last year's incident.
And that's what I feel like Aoi leaving is that it was basically ripping off a Band-Aid that could either be reopening, well, either way, it's kind of reopening old wounds, but the question is will that end up being a good thing or not, right? Because, like, you know, the Perez leaving, that was something that was brought up in this episode. I don't think it's going to happen. I think she's going to stick around, and I love the fact that Kaori went back and talked to her. It was fantastic. I love that interaction, but that is something that is now being considered. It's on the table. Even Kumiko had a lot of trouble practicing and playing because she's worried about her friend that left. You know, it rocks the boat.
Yeah. I think what's really cool here is the exposition of sorts from Kaori regarding the courage thing is the answer to what the Prez was asking Kumiko about was, what is the thing that I am good at? And it's that you're courageous. Right. You're bold. Maybe a little stupid even, because you actually were willing to shoulder all this when you couldn't, when you didn't have the ability.
And courage doesn't have to be loud. Like, it's easy to look at Asuka and be like, obviously she's courageous. You know, like, look at how confident she is and everything. Right. But when it comes right down to it, when she was given the option, she was like, nope. But you did. Yeah.
And I also love that Kaori brings up the idea that the upperclassmen, the senior members, all know that you had the courage to do it. Because any one of them could have done this.
But they didn't.
To take it up.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they had the ability to, that's not the point.
They could have made the decision to.
Exactly.
Because you could argue, because your whole point of insecurity is that you didn't have the ability to, right? You know, but you still did it.
Yeah, exactly. I love the whole, come on, I know you're an Asuka fan. It's like, she's awesome. As before, I wish I could focus on playing with as much gusto as she does.
Yeah.
And that is something that is rather cool, though, to have an energetic person in the squad that is not the leader. One of the things I've noticed in team dynamics specifically is you never want the loudest, most energetic person to be the leader.
Oh, sure, because
they will drown out all the other people by their own passion and even positive little traits regarding that passion.
Well, like Asuka, many times, she needs the president to come up and be like, all right, that's enough now, because she would otherwise just ramble on about the history of an instrument and with her 20-page thesis about how, you know, the youth is just one of the most wonderful things ever, right? But the wind ensemble doesn't need that. You know, it's like, great job, you know, but it's one of those things of like the A plus engineer student, you know, is still working for the C business major, you know, like one of those things. So
true.
Yeah.
And then just also the fact that by Asuka relenting to this, you know, leader in this respect shows that anyone that loves and respects and is impressed by Asuka, by proxy and extension, respects, loves, and is just values the president for being able to do that.
Yeah, because when you see someone that anyone would consider to be awesome and admirable and, you know, worthy of following, and they're following someone else, it begs the question,
what do they see?
What do they see, right? So, we also got a bit of, and this is the last thing pretty much I want to bring up for this episode, but we got a bit of build-up for potential bullying situations with Kosuka.
You know, I thought you were going to bring up the romance side of things.
Well, yes, there's the romance side of things. That's true. That's a great point.
Yeah, that was in the beginning. Kaori, I don't do that. Hey, practice is over. Clean up.
Right. Like Kaori specifically being like, no bullying, right? Of course not. I wouldn't do that.
And then tells her what to
Immediately
do.
proceeds to tell her what to do and things like that. And awesome. Lovely.
Well, I think what's cool there is it's just showing that Kaori is being a sub-leader of her group.
Yes.
And doing a really good job at looking out for those that might not even need it necessarily. Because Kosaka's just going to keep soldiering forward and, you know, pierce the heavens with her drill.
Exactly. Her trumpet shall ring out and Hibike, everyone will hear it.
Yep.
But she should not have to deal with this shit. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But yeah, no, that's a great point. Are you going out with Shuichi?
Tsukamoto.
Tsukamoto.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, do you have a crush on him or anything like that?
Nope.
Are you going out with him?
Blurting it out nice and loud.
Nice and loud for everyone to hear.
Hazuki, You're so funny and bubbly. It's wonderful. So entertaining.
I'm so looking forward to see where that goes.
Yeah, guys, we got a lot dense stuff coming in these episodes, and we're only like halfway through the first season. So yeah. Y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
All the info for that is in the description below.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
Next time.